Hey guys, welcome back to Troy's Garage. My name's Troy, this is my garage. In today's video, we have a customer, it's actually a family member. They worked on their own car, they were having a heater issue. They wouldn't get heat unless they were at like highway speed, so like 2,000, 2,500 RPM, and then the heater would start to blow warm. As it's winter, they need the heater. So they did a little research on the internet and decided to try changing the thermostat. So if the thermostat's stuck open, then it'll just continually circulate, and the engine will never get to full warm unless you're at higher RPM. That forces air through the radiator, also cooling the engine down. So I'm not sure that that's what was happening there, but that's where we're at right now. The thermostat has been changed, and when they drove it from where they worked on it to home, where they live, it started overheating. It's only maybe a 5 or 6 mile drive, and it was already pegged on hot, overheating. I think what's happening with that scenario, because they weren't overheating before, I think what happened, there's two things that could be wrong. Number one, the thermostat could be installed backwards, so it never can open. So it just won't ever get to temperature where it'll open, start circulating, the engine will overheat in that scenario. This person assured me they did it correctly. They put it in exactly the way the other one was when they pulled it out. We're going to assume that that's correct, and the next thing that could be wrong is there's a great big air bubble in there. There's not enough fluid for it to circulate all the way. It would obviously overheat if it's low on coolant, and it'd have to be pretty low on coolant. So this should be a pretty obvious fix if that's what it is. Let's get the car in the garage. We're going to get it up on these little ramps to get the radiator up in the air so that that's the highest point, and try to burp those bubbles out of there and see if that's what we're dealing with, and then we'll go from there. Alright, I can already tell this thing is seriously low on fluid, and I just barely got it in here. Still gonna let it just warm up a bit. I am gonna top it off while I continue to let it run, and see if I can get that thermostat to open and start to circulate the fluid. This could be an easy fix. Everything. We got a leak. We got a pretty major leak. So I don't know if you can see that dripping down in there. Oh yeah, you can definitely see that. Yep. I'm guessing that either there's a split in a hose or something, but yeah, there's just a steady stream of coolant coming out of that. Alright, well, we got a little bit of work to do. Got the air cleaner box out of the way just to give me more visibility down in there. And then I started taking electrical stuff apart so that I could get the housing off. And I found the issue. That housing is cracked. So when the guy put it back together, he just cinched it down a little too tight on the one side. Popped it. So I'm going to be shopping for one of those. Back from AutoZone. O'Reilly's didn't have one of these, but AutoZone did. Happened to come with a new gasket as well. But let this be a lesson to you. When you're replacing a thermostat, make sure that the thermostat is seated all the way down in. There's a little groove that it sits in, and it's got to be seated all the way in that. And then this mates perfectly with the outer ring of the actual motor housing or water pump housing, depending on what you're connecting it to. But make sure everything is seated properly so that you get a good seal, and then tighten a little bit on this side, a little bit on this side, and then go ahead and torque them down. Torque to spec for your particular motor, but that should be a fix. I'm going to get this thing wrapped up, fire it up, check for leaks, and then we'll talk about this just a little bit more. Alright, that took about, maybe 15 minutes. Put it all back together. I got it topped off with 50-50 mix. And now we're just waiting for the thermostat to actually open. I keep reaching down and touching down in here to make sure that my fingers are dry. Got no leaks at all. And now we just wait for the circulation to start. So that'll take a couple minutes. Still waiting on it to start circulating, but it is starting to warm up. I can feel it in the hose. So let's check and see if the heater is blowing hot. That was the initial complaint. Oh yeah. I've got it blowing through the vent and the feet. Fan's about halfway up, and temperature is just coming off a cold. We do have a check engine light, so I got to diagnose that as well, but it is starting to blow warm, so that's a good sign. That means that we've probably fixed what was initially wrong. Basically, when that starts circulating, you'll see it stirring up real kind of aggressively in there, and it'll probably suck itself down an inch, maybe 2 inches or so, and then you just top it off again. Once it's done that, and all the bubbles have burped up and it's lowered itself, you get that thing topped off. You can put the thermostat, or the radiator cap back on, and then just let it do a full cycle of warm. Make sure that your overflow is topped off to the full mark. Any additional bubbles, when it cools off, it'll suck from that tank to keep the radiator full. Should be fixed. Yeah, so that wasn't so bad. Obviously, if you do it right the first time, then it's not as big of a deal. Even fixing a mistake isn't that hard of a thing to do. Cost about $26.80 or so for the part, including tax, plus almost a full gallon of the 50-50 mix is what I ended up using so far. This is Troy's Garage. Please like, share, and click that little subscribe button. That does a thing, and then you'll be following along. Ring that bell, you'll get notified of future videos. I've got some really cool old trucks that I'm working on, that sort of thing. That's kind of the bread and butter of what I do on my channel. So if you're seeing this for the first time and you like old trucks, be sure and subscribe, follow along. Check the links down below for some helpful tips and tools, that sort of thing. Amazon affiliates, that's how kind of I get paid back. So using those links to make a purchase doesn't cost you anything, but it helps my channel a lot, and I appreciate that. This is Troy's Garage, and I'll see you guys in the next video.